guys, welcome to a very special episode of The Sounds of Justice. It's just Simon here today because I'm still live from Orlando, Florida. I've been here for all the WrestleMania festivities, Access, TakeOver, Hall of Fame, WrestleMania Raw. As I'm recording this, I'm getting ready for SmackDown. We'll recap everything that went down in the next episode, because in this episode, I wanted to share all the interviews I conducted over the weekend. We're going to kick things off with a very friendly tag team, very well-dressed men, guys who really made an impact on Monday Night Raw, Cesaro and Sheamus.
Simon,
hey, mate.
nice to meet
How you doing?
Hey,
Simon.
Seamus, we spoke last year in Melbourne when you were down
Oh,
there.
yeah.
It was interesting. We spoke just before the brand split, and one of the things you said you were looking forward to is new opponents and new things. And then the first thing right off the bat was the Best of 7 series with Cesaro, which was
Old opponent.
kind of funny to see, but it's really worked out as
Even-
a tag
even
team.
older.
It's really worked. You guys seem to gel, have great chemistry. Were you guys both resistant at first, though, when it first happened, or were you open to something new?
We were just ready to make an impact, man. We literally had the stuff knocked out of us when we found out where we were on the list of the draft at the very, very end. It was just like a complete kick in the stones, in the balls, So we were ready to make an impact and prove everybody wrong, and then we saw this Best of 7 series, and we'd already just wrestled twice before, like in the space of 3 weeks.
So actually, I won it, right?
No, I didn't.
Did you win?
Well, there you go. No. Did I win? No. So I knew, but we just knew that we knew we were to make an impact and do something, and we were ready. We were ready to do everything we possibly could, and we worked hard together against each other, whatever way you want to say it. But by the last match, the people were like, "Oh my God, 70 matches!" The last match, the whole place in Indianapolis was going bananas, and which led to this. And the dynamic in the beginning that we hated each other, just has grown to mutual respect and mutual drive to become tag champs.
Yeah, like the mutual respect was always there for his ability inside the ring. I just, it's probably better to be on his side than the receiving end. So
We beat the crap out of each other.
so that's definitely it.
So do you think your opponents saw the matches against each other? As you said, you guys beat the crap out of each other, and then they thought, oh God, now they're a team.
Yes.
Yeah, we're really in for it.
I'm pretty sure that's the case.
I'm pretty sure that's the
You
case.
see some of his uppercuts, man. I'm telling you, I'm surprised my neck is still attached to my body. Well, that's just the way it works. That's just our European style, you know what I mean? But I've always, from day one, I had a match with Cesaro in NXT. I think he just come on the road. He became a US champ real quick, and we had a match down there. And I wanted to get in the ring with him and have a match with him. And from day one, we had instant chemistry. It was great.
We're in Orlando. Of course, you guys both got your start in Florida with the WWE, NXT, and FCW. How does it feel being here now for WrestleMania?
Oh, it's great. I go home every night. It's with NXT being here and the Performance Center, I think it's just a good fit.
I'm hoping to come move to Tampa next year or the year after.
Make it even easier to get home.
Yeah, so I'll be home in literally 5 minutes.
Yeah.
No, it's great though. It is great to be. Florida's obviously where we call home now.
It's great to come here and be in the sun, beautiful weather, right?
Oh, it's great weather. Yeah.
see?
And
As good as Melbourne.
man, our summer's still going over there, so it's like it never ended. And just finally, you guys are in the ladder match, WrestleMania. You've got that massive scar on your eye. How do you get payback for something like that?
I'm literally grabbing the ladder and I'm chasing everybody around the ring or over the barricades if I have to.
Yeah.
I'll even chase Joel over here if he keeps tapping his leg.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Thanks a lot,
what
guys.
he said.
Yeah.
Thank
Sweet.
you.
Thanks
Yeah.
again.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sheamus and Cesaro there. What a great couple of guys. It's good to see they finally got the matching outfits this weekend. The crowd chant on Raw was crazy. I think that's really going to catch on. They looked like they were having fun with it, so that was cool to see. Up next, it's a guy who had a great weekend, an amazing entrance at WrestleMania, and a really cool match. Seth Rollins, we discussed his time back in NXT, and we also discussed some music.
Recently on the network, they finally uploaded the early episodes of NXT from Full Sail.
Yeah.
You've mentioned before how sort of you were frustrated a bit in developmental, and Triple H spoke about it too, about, you sort of felt like you might have thought you were in a rush to get to Raw or SmackDown. Do you look at that time fondly now that you're, on Raw?
I had a great time down in WWE developmental when I first got down there. I spent a lot of time on the road with the guys. We had a great car. It was myself, Dean Ambrose, Juice Robinson, who's in New Japan now, Corey Graves, Invader's kid, Jesse White. So we had a cool car, man. We drove every highway in Florida you could think of, just doing the towns down there and really honing our craft. And it was a blast. NXT was frustrating in the sense that, when it first started, it's obviously not anything what it is today.
Of course, yeah.
So, I didn't have, Cesaro had a Sami Zayn to work with down there. I had 3MB. I had Drew McIntyre. And, it was just, the crowd was still our local Florida crowd. It wasn't the monster that it is today. So, helping cultivate that crowd, I look back fondly and say, oh, that was awesome. But also, it would have been nice to, walk in as a known entity, like some of the guys do now, and be like, oh, haha, I didn't have to, spend any time at the warehouse at 9 a.m., having practice matches. So it's a double-edged sword. I do enjoy the simplicity of it, but at the same time, like, it would have been nice to just be, Austin Aries and walk in there and not ever have to step foot in the warehouse.
Yeah. And I just wanted to ask a follow-up question about the music. So, of course, Triple H, gets to have his favourite band play him to the ring, Motorhead. If you could choose one band to make your theme music or redo yours, who would it be?
Probably Parkway Drive. They're good friends of mine, and they've got a nice heavy thing going on, and I think they would be able to do a nice, pretty sick entrance for me. So if I had the option, I'd go to them and ask.
Nice. Cool. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Seth freaking Rollins there. How cool was that, name dropping one of Australia's great heavy metal bands, Parkway Drive? Hopefully we'd see that entrance one day. Up next, it's the former SmackDown Women's Champion, Alexa Bliss. She had a great performance at Mania. She always looks great. Entrance was awesome. I think she'll be champion again soon enough. We had a great discussion about her time traveling with the championship as well as her time spent in Melbourne. Of course, her fiance is Australia's own Buddy Murphy. Here's Alexa.
So you've got the SmackDown Women's Championship title with you. It looks amazing.
Oh, thank you.
How is it carrying that through airports and stuff? Do people give you weird looks when you have to check it through?
They do, because it always goes through the metal detector, and every time I see the person do the same thing. They'll look at the screen and then they'll trace out the W every time. So I'm like, oh, that's what they found. And they'll always pull my bag, and sometimes they'll pull it to check for things, which really I'm pretty sure they're just looking at the title. They'll pull out the championship and they're like, oh, what's this? What was this for? And it's fun. It's good to see reactions when people see it, but that's about it.
Do you think it still shocks them when they see you and then see the women's championship? Or
I always get, even people who don't know what I do, and they ask me what I do, and I tell them, I always get the same response. They're all like, you're not. No. You're so little. You're so this. You're so that. And I'm always like, so I had to drop that line actually not too long ago. This woman at the hotel was checking me in, and she's like, oh, you're not an athlete. You're not a professional wrestler. And she gave me the wink, and she's like, you're too little. And I was like, well, actually, and I might have flipped my hair a little bit too. I was like, well, actually, I'm a champion. And she started laughing. She's like, what? And I was like, yeah, no big deal. 2 times I know I'm a champion match.
Yeah.
Never been done before. No big deal.
Cool. And also, I thought I'd ask, I'm from Melbourne, same town as your fiance, Buddy Murphy.
Yeah.
Have you been there with him?
I have. So we went to after Mania last year. So we landed Monday after Mania from Texas, flew out, landed at 12, flew out at 4 for Australia, and literally did a 6-hour flight and then a 26-hour flight. And I would be lying if I said if I was awake for an ounce of any of those flights. But I loved Melbourne. I thought it was great. We were there for 2 weeks. It was beautiful. I loved it, and I can't wait to go back.
Yeah. If he ever said he wanted to move back there, would you be up for it, or you're too tied to being here?
I would love to, but my mother is crazy and will not let me move. She lives 5 houses from me. She won't let me move anywhere without her.
Yeah. How does Buddy go with that, with the in-laws being so close?
Oh, he loves it.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like his American family, you know what I mean?
That's true.
He probably calls my mom just as much as I do. And, I'll come home sometimes from the road, and she's hanging out. They're hanging out together, and, she's, doing laundry, and he's, talking to her, helping her do laundry, and I'm like, what is going on here? No, but they're super close. Everyone loves him, and, I love his family, and we all get along great. And it's awesome too, because like I FaceTimed with his family before I met them. So like when I went to Australia, it's kind of like we already knew each other.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it was after he had already proposed. So I was like, hey, join the family. Nice to meet you. You know, like, but it was great. Everyone was so great.
That's good. Good to hear. Good luck at WrestleMania.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Okay, this next interview's a little bit different. Before I get to it, a shout out to Adam Santarosa from news.com.au. We sort of shared this one because we knew it would be special and we didn't know how many opportunities we'd get. This is not an in-ring performer, but it's someone very important to the WWE. It's Executive Vice President of Talent Development, Kenyon Ceman. He goes around the world scouting talent and signing people to NXT. Here it is. It's fascinating because we've seen you on shows like Breaking Ground, and there's this weird thing on the internet where people post photos of you around the world and they're like, oh, he must be recruiting somewhere. What is your background like prior to WWE?
A life of sport and business, I guess. I played professional beach volleyball for 15 years, and in that, the wrestlers don't believe this, but it's a pretty similar personality type. It's it's people that are passionate about what they do, that are one of the reasons they're doing it is to travel the world, and it's not about the money, it's about the commitment to this thing they love, right? And it's the same. And I've had to convince them that it's the same. But at the end of the day, in terms of pure wrestling knowledge, I very much rely on William Regal for that. Right? So he's, consigliere, and anytime it's a technical wrestling discussion, I very much defer to him, as I should. But anytime it's I'm seeking charismatic athletes from around the world discussion, I feel confident in my ability to identify that.
Yeah. Well, Charlotte played volleyball as well.
She did.
So is that the example?
Yeah. She also did cheer, which is highly related to the flexibility and the sort of athletic movement she has. But I make sure people know that our
it's
best female wrestler came from volleyball.
Yeah. And I also wanted to ask, it's interesting that you mentioned you lived in Australia. What were your favourite places when you go back there?
Yeah, I lived in the eastern suburbs of Sydney, and to me that's one of the best places on the planet. I went to Melbourne Business School for a semester abroad, and I love Melbourne, but Sydney's like my place.
Oh no, you're
sorry, are you Melbourne? You're Sydney? Yeah. It's like LA versus San Francisco.
Yeah, everyone's got
I'm an LA guy. LA's a little bit more Sydney, but Sydney's more beautiful in my opinion.
What's your take on these Aussies? I think there's 5 now.
Yeah.
A couple more on the way apparently. So, what do they bring that maybe is a little bit different to everyone else?
Yeah, well, I guess, look, we've had 2 big Aussie tryouts since I've been here, and what has been clear in those tryouts is that the depth of quality training is strong. Like, we had a tryout in Melbourne in December that had, I think, 25 people at it, and whereas usually at a tryout there's 10 that are like, nope. At that tryout, the technical level of in-ring was like, we could do something here. And, for example, the UK Championship tournament, that required depth of talent, which most countries don't have that level of depth of talent. We both, like William Regal and I, thought after that, if we needed to do an Australian show, we could do it. Yeah. Doesn't mean someone's told me to do that yet, but I think that we could if we, if that was the next mandate.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, look, Australia's an athletic nation, right? There's a culture of sport there, and there's a work ethic. Like, even the national federations, there's a system of commitment to sports there, and it's no different in the world of pro wrestling. So they take elite athletes from other backgrounds and they come into the sport of pro wrestling, and you can see it. You can see that they've applied that sort of culture of sport.
Do you actively seek rugby league talent as well? I think David Vito tried here.
He did. So he's an example of someone that, what I tell people like him is, like, where are you mentally? Are you happy where you are? Are you ready? And he's like, I'm not quite ready. I said, don't come here then, because if this takes all in, and if you're still halfway back into your former life, it's not going to work. And that happens a lot all around the world. It's not just could you do it, it's are you mentally ready to do it. And, good-looking guy, clearly is going places in the world. Like, if you talk to him, I don't know if you talk to him, but he's a man who has an agenda, and that sort of the focus required to have that agenda at that age is the similar attributes that gets you far here. That makes sense?
Yeah, for sure. With your role, do you mind if guys do leave the system and say, hey, I need to take a break, try other things, and maybe I'll come back? Do you see it as them not having the passion, or maybe they just need to find a different part of their personality? Maybe someone like CJ Parker or Cody Rhodes come to mind as those examples?
Assuming they've left on professional terms, which those are both examples of people who have, to me the door is always open. And Triple H, that's from Triple H down. It's like, if you leave the right way, then the door's open. But what have you done to change change your package? And so those are sort of the most high-profile examples of people who already had the skill set, and then it was whatever, it just wasn't working or whatever. But there are lots of other examples. My question at the end of the day is, what have you done to progress either your skills, your body, your athleticism, your ability to articulate, whatever it is, what have you done? So if they check back in with me like, hey, is there another spot? My immediate question is, what have you done to prove that you want this? Yeah. And it better be a good answer. But Ty Dillinger is someone who had a second chance and came back in humble and hungry, and has become like a locker room leader here, as someone who's helped the culture here be what it is. That's sort of all-in commitment.
Finally, just on Australia, I know Hunter spoke about, you're always looking for new talent. Is there ever a chance of having maybe more of a physical presence in Australia, like some sort of a training academy there, or would it just you rely on
anything's possible? But at the end of the day, it's an expensive. This thing takes a lot of resources, right? And if you said where's the top 3 places you would do your next PC, would you guys put it in Australia? Right? It might be like 4 or 5. Yeah. That's not my final answer. I'm not going to be the one who decides that. But there's London, there's Shanghai, there's Tokyo. There's some places that you go, oh, that's probably where the next one should go. And to me, there's something in that APAC. Is it Singapore? Is it? It's hard to say where exactly it is, but if in 10 years, could we have something that's drawing Australia talent to the APAC hub? Sure, I think that's likely. I hope that I get to do it because I'd love to make it happen.
Kanyon Ceman there from the WWE Performance Center with some realistic expectations of when Australia might see a WWE hub. And speaking of someone from overseas who's had great success in WWE over the past year, Shinsuke Nakamura. This guy's just as charismatic in real life as you think he would be. His English is surprisingly great too. I've heard that criticism from people saying, could he communicate to a worldwide audience when he makes it to the main roster? Speaking to him, I didn't think there was any issue at all. This was really cool. He recapped to me where the character of the King of Strong Style came from, because prior to that, he was actually a pretty serious wrestler for a few years. He wore plain black trunks. He was very martial arts inspired. So check it out. Shinsuke Nakamura, the King of Strong Style, with his origin story.
So my career is much different with others.
Yeah.
So I joined the New Japan Pro Wrestling in 2002 after graduating university. But before joining New Japan Pro Wrestling, so I believed wrestling is kind of mixed martial arts. Yeah. So I trained amateur wrestling 7 years. Also Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, submission wrestling, karate, boxing, kickboxing. Then after joining the New Japan Pro Wrestling, I debuted at August 29, 2002. Then, so that time, in Japan, Pride, K1, that competitor.
Very popular.
Yeah, very popular. Also, professional wrestler fight at the MMA. K1, so that kind of mix.
Yeah.
So company decided to bring to Los Angeles to train MMA because I knew how to fight.
Yeah.
So in the like MMA. So after debut 2002 August, I fly to Los Angeles. Train at Los Angeles, then came back to December 31. I had a match, but that was not pro wrestling, MMA show against Daniel Gracie. my first debut was Daniel Gracie. Then, so 3 days later, I had a match at the Tokyo Dome show. So kind of different career. I did both MMA and wrestling. So hard to explain. So company, New Japan Pro Wrestling. So kind of like
at that time,
at that time, because the MMA doing
taking over. Yeah.
But finally around 2000, so after Pride gone, after K1 gone, so pro wrestling rise up again. So, but 2011, so I wrestled as like a serious character till 2011. 2011, so I went to Mexico a month. So I wanted to change everything. So I shaved my head, I wear the red jacket, I wear the leather pants in Mexico. Then I changed everything. Then CMLL, Mexican company, pissed me off. So we ordered strong style Shinsuke Nakamura, but what the hell? Shinsuke Nakamura was kind of Michael Jackson, but people reaction was changed. So people loved my character. Then so company, like a Mexican company, also Japanese company, so pissed me. But I didn't change. So I did like keep my stuff. Then finally, I created my character.
And it worked. One of the best characters. Everyone loves it.
Thank you.
There we go, the king of strong style, Shinsuke Nakamura, and we go from the Japanese superstar to one half of American Alpha, Chad Gable. This guy was super cool, really charming, and I think he's going to be a great ambassador for WWE, a great spokesperson. So we kick things off by chatting about how it feels to be a former champion this close to WrestleMania.
Was it a weird feeling losing the belt so close?
I was going to say, hearing former kind of hurts every time I have to hear someone say it. But, you know, it was very unfortunate, especially in the fashion that we lost it. They kind of took the underhand. But, you know, it's WrestleMania week. I'm not going to sit here and cry about it. I'm not going to sit here and sulk. We're on WrestleMania. We're in the Battle Royal. It's our first WrestleMania, so being on the card in some form or fashion, in my opinion, is a success. You know, there's only up. We can only go up from here.
So in the Battle Royal, you guys are in there. The Usos are in there.
Sure.
Is the game plan rush them first, throw them straight out?
That wouldn't be so bad, right? We'll get a little payback, but they owe us a rematch as well, and we'll be looking forward to getting that as soon as possible. I don't want to focus too much on them in the Battle Royal because it's going to be pretty chaotic. So if you try to focus on one person, you might get yourself in a bit of trouble. But we'll have each other's backs. That's the idea.
Yeah, and there's some big guys in the Battle Royal too.
Yes.
Braun Strowman, Big Show. We've seen you suplex surprisingly big dudes. Are you looking at Braun thinking, I can throw him?
Oh, absolutely. Braun knows I could throw him, okay? He'll tell you that. That's kind of our specialty. You know, everybody knows we know how to suplex. The problem is in a Battle Royal, it's not always the best plan of attack to be suplexing people, you know what I mean? But, you know, maybe it'll come down to me and Braun Strowman, and I'll have to throw a couple German suplexes at him, and maybe over the top rope. Who knows?
It could happen.
Yeah.
Now, I want to flash back to a year ago.
Sure.
In Dallas. I was there live for TakeOver.
Sure.
What was that moment like? Because the crowd went crazy and you guys looked emotional.
Yeah.
Can you go back to that moment?
Yeah, and that had kind of built over a course of 6 or 7 months for Jason and I, and we hadn't even touched the revival at that point, you know. But it was kind of a personal journey for us because we both had come up short a little bit in our amateur wrestling careers and never really reached the peak of what we wanted to. So for that to culminate for both of us, you know, on the same night together, and especially in front of a crowd like that was so rabid that night and happy for us, it was so special. And it's something that's hard to put into words, but, you know, you could see how emotional we got. It was a special night for us.
Yeah, and what did you think of the Gable chants that became sort of like a cult favorite that weekend? Was that weird?
Yeah, so that was pretty. We were in the UK and like people started doing these Gable chants, and I couldn't figure out what they were saying at first because I guess it was a soccer chant, and we don't really football. I'm sorry, and we don't really know about it.
Okay. To us too.
Okay.
It's all good.
And but we went back and looked it up and figured it out, and man, we just embraced it, and it kind of picked up steam as the week went on, and it was kind of just a very fun thing to be a part of.
Yeah, it was awesome, and the Hall of Fame tonight, Kurt Angle being inducted, clearly an influence on you guys. Are you happy for him?
So I saw him training in the gym this morning. Unbelievable. It was like I had to pick my pace up because I felt like I was embarrassing myself. So happy for him, proud of him, and he's paved the way for guys like Jason and I. He's doing, or he has done for 15, 20 years, what Jason and I are now trying to do. So, if there's someone that can help us, if there's someone we can sit down and chat with and pick his brain, he's the man.
Yeah, and I think every fan on the internet has fantasy books like
Sure.
Angle with American Alpha.
Yeah.
You guys do the same. You're
I
like,
love
it's
it,
a
man.
no-brainer.
He's the prime example of somebody who walked that line of being able to be goofy and be humorous and comical, but at the same time, when the bell rang, it was all business, and you knew he's intense, and so he'd be perfect for us.
Yeah, there's a lot of him in you guys,
Yes.
and it's great to
Thanks
see.
for that.
Thanks a lot for chatting,
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Right now, it's time to talk to someone who just made their return on Monday Night Raw and got a massive ovation. It's Melbourne's very own Emma. Joining me now is Australia's first WWE superstar. Emma, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. So it's WrestleMania weekend, an exciting time. It seems like you're on the verge of returning to TV. Are you excited, or are you a little bit envious that you might not be on the show just yet?
No, I'm excited. It's the most exciting time of the year is WrestleMania, and I've been able to sit back and watch and assess the competition for a long time now, so it kind of gives me the advantage.
That's true. Game plan. Who do you have your eye on? Who do you think stands out in NXT or Raw SmackDown?
Well, definitely Bayley. She's the women's champion right now, and also an ex-best friend of mine. So yeah, someone I know better than anybody, and someone who has what I want.
For a long time on Raw, we saw the videos for Emelina. Will we see Emelina again? Could it be a Mick Foley type split personality thing, or is it just Evil Emma now?
It's just Emma now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what? Sometimes you got to do something to get people's attention, and I think that's what we've done. And now everyone's waiting to see what's next.
Yeah, it definitely worked. It felt like the longest con. Like everyone was like, "Oh, what's happening? Why does it keep saying coming soon?"
Yeah.
Definitely worked, and now everyone's like, "Okay, so we're waiting for the real Emma."
Exactly.
Yeah. So I'm from Melbourne. I know you're from there too.
Yep.
You started wrestling there. Do you still keep track of the scene?
You know, it's so hard. So much is changing constantly. I definitely have a bunch of friends that in the independent wrestling scene in Australia, and so talented. I know a lot of them have been able to have tryouts here with WWE, and some of them are with us now.
Yeah.
So for me, that's cool that it's just such. It's always evolving, and there's so many talents coming out of Australia and joining us here. I think that's really awesome.
Yeah. Do the stars that come in from Australia look to you first for advice as the first Aussie?
You know what? Yeah, I think I've been able to share some advice with my Australian friends, and it's almost like having a piece of home away from home. It's like that comfort, having people with the lingo, the Aussie background, the laid back, chilled people, and just
You can use our slang and they get it.
Yeah, having that to help us all get along.
Yeah, cool. And just one more question about going back home. When you go back to Melbourne, what's the first place you go to?
Of course, seeing my family and my friends back home, and as far as going out to eat, I always want to get a nice chicken palm,
Yes.
a Parma.
Parma,
Yeah,
that's right.
Parma.
The Melbourne way, not Palmy
yeah.
like they do in Sydney. I don't get
Parma.
that. That's right.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Emma, thanks so much for talking.
Thank you.
Thanks. Australia's first female WWE superstar, Emma there. Next up, I chat to Kalisto. We speak about the Cruiserweight division, if that's something he wants to do next. And we also talk about who's got the coolest lucha mask. We're leading into WrestleMania, and for the first time in years, there's a Cruiserweight championship match.
Oh, yeah.
Do you look at that match and think, that's somewhere you'd want to be next year? Would you want to take part in the division more? Or do you like your role on SmackDown, sort of mixing it up with the big guys?
Hey, opportunity is everything, right? So, I was really close before winning the Cruiserweight Championship, but I had certain someone interrupt me and ruin everything for everybody. So, just knowing the fact that I was really close to winning that and having another opportunity, that'd be great. All the Cruiserweights, they have their own ability and own art. I believe it's the show. It's amazing itself. I like watching it. And so I'm a big fan of the work and everything, and especially right now watching. I would love to watch Neville versus Austin Aries, and I've seen Austin Aries before, and I've seen his work, and I've wrestled Neville before, and I would love to just be in the ring with them too. It would be great.
And just a quick question about your mask. We've got a few masked superstars now with, Grand Metalik, Lindsay Dorado.
Definitely.
Who's got the coolest mask in the WWE?
I believe Rey Mysterio.
You still go with the classic.
I know, right? But everybody, like I love Metallic's mask because it's very unique. Same as Lince Dorado, same as Sin Cara. It's like they all like bits and pieces of them that they catch my attention. You know, it's like I'm the only one with the tail. Exactly. Yeah. Sin Cara, he's completely like faceless. You know, Lince, he has his mouth open, but he has a unique cat look. Metallic, he has a unique, very like out of the space, out of this world, you know, kind of mask. But they're all talented in their own way, and I would love to be in the ring with them too. And you know, who knows?
Awesome, we'd love to see it. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you so much.
That was Kalisto there. How funny was that? Even he's such a big fan. He admitted Rey Mysterio still has the coolest mask of all time. And wrapping things up, the final interview, it's Titus O'Neil. He's from Florida. He's from Orlando. He seemed really excited about WrestleMania weekend. And even though he's not a guy who's on TV too much these days, outside of the ring, he does so much work. He's a great guy, a real role model, and a real life hero. He does so much charity work. And I think it seems by talking to him, he's getting ready for his next move. It's a really cool chat. Check it out. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks so much for listening. Of course, subscribe on iTunes. Follow us on Instagram, the Sounds of Justice podcast. We'll be back the next episode, a recap of the massive week in WWE, as well as another top 5 list. Catch you then.
We're in Orlando for WrestleMania, sort of a homecoming for you. How does it feel to have the big event here?
Awesome. Right? I didn't have to fly anybody in for this WrestleMania. I get to sleep in my own bed, kind of roll over and get ready for the show. And my kids, you know, are very familiar with Orlando. You know, we've gone to Universal and on Disney and all these other places a million times. So it's just a good, relaxing, it's more relaxing environment than having WrestleMania somewhere else.
Yep. So because it is here, does the whole family expect tickets to the show?
Yeah, they expect them, but I direct them to Ticketmaster real quick. You know, I paid for very few people to go, you know, my mom and my brothers and my kids, obviously, but everybody else just go to Ticketmaster.
Yeah. So your family must be very proud of you, the success you've had not only as an athlete, but also outside of the ring, one of the true heroes, it seems, in WWE. How do you manage the time to do everything?
I just do it. You know, my mom made a sacrifice at a very young age to have me, you know, when she didn't. She really wasn't given a choice, and so she's extremely proud of me, but I'm extremely proud of her. And I think that, you know, one of the rules that I tell my 2 sons, you know, is that we take advantage every day, but we have 3 rules in our home. The first one is love and respect everybody you come in contact with. You're not going to agree with everybody. You don't have to agree with everybody, but you do need to love them and respect them. Number 2 is don't use the word can't. We absolutely cannot use the word can't, because we believe in the Bible. We believe in what God says. I can do all things through Christ, so that's what we believe. And then the third thing is to be your best, you know. And I tell my kids all the time, like, if your best was a C on that test, then I will never be disappointed. But if you know and I know that wasn't your best, then we will have some problems, because that's what I expect, you know. It doesn't take a whole lot of talent to show effort, you know, and that's what. And guys that I was one of those guys that I had some talent, but I had a whole lot of effort, and I was all like, at first that effort was directed because I wanted to prove people wrong, but then it just became a case of me just wanting to be my best, you know, and I'm not in the business of proving people wrong anymore. I could care less, you know, because I know that I shouldn't be as successful as I am if I would have just had that negative mindset.
And not tried.
Exactly.
Well, you've tried and you've had the success in so many fields. One of your good friends, Dave Bautista, he's having a lot of success in Hollywood. Absolutely. You've shown a great side of your personality in the Primetime Players. You were Pancake Patterson. You've done a lot of fun things. Would you want to try that on the big screen?
Definitely, I couldn't tell you a closer friend that I have than to see Dave with his success. I'm not envious of it, but I've told him, and he knows that I'm going to try to come after him, you know, to garner some of it as well. But he's been very supportive of me here, and I've been very supportive of him there. I'm actually going to the movie premiere of Guardians of the Galaxy up in New York in a couple of weeks with him. So, it's the sky's the limit. I know I'm very talented in a lot of ways, and that's not saying it in a braggadocious way. It's just the truth. I know that I have so much to offer to not only the WWE, but to a lot of people, and I'm looking forward to doing so.
And we look forward to seeing it, Titus. It's been a pleasure. Thanks, man.
Thank you.